Whether it was historic triumphs or prep sports controversies, this year was full of moments that'll be remembered and have an impact into 2020 and beyond. Here's a look back at some of the top stories from 2019. One of the great eras in Jackrabbit basketball history came to a close, symbolized by the end of the careers of Macy Miller and Mike Daum. Both left SDSU as their program and Summit League's all-time leading scorers, with Daum finishing as the 7th leading scorer in NCAA history at 3,067 points. Yet the endings for both were dramatically different. Daum and the SDSU men were denied a 4th straight trip to the NCAA tournament when they were stunned in the first round of the Summit League tournament by Western Illinois. Several weeks after that, third-year head coach TJ Otzelberger left to take over at UNLV, eventually taking with him star sophomore David Jenkins Jr. The Jackrabbit women did fulfill their high expectations. After winning their 9th Summit League tournament title, the Jackrabbits went to New York and defeated Quinnipiac and host Syracuse in the NCAA tournament, advancing to the Sweet 16 for the first time in program history.
We knew that this was going to be possible. It kind of comes from years and years ago of different players that have kind of laid that groundwork, but it's just such an unreal feeling and couldn't be more proud to be on this team.
Though the Coyote women were on the losing end of the Summit League tournament championship game, USD made its 2nd trip to the NCAA tournament thanks to an at-large bid, the first granted to a Summit League school in 25 years.
Grounded towards second. Eisenreich. Got it!
Proving that spring sports can thrive despite long South Dakota winters, the Augustana softball team captured the Division II national championship just 1 year after their baseball team had done the same. And Dakota Wesleyan's Camber Lamer proved her resilience. Initially barred from competing at the NAIA National Track Meet due to a clerical error, Lamer won an 11th-hour appeal and then went on to win the national championship in the pentathlon.
We are overrun by Jackrabbits in Brookings.
College football in the Rushmore State and at SDSU got a national spotlight in late October when ESPN's College Game Day broadcast from Brookings ahead of the Dakota Marker game against NDSU. USD would steal some of the statewide spotlight back 1 month later when they beat the Jackrabbits for the first time since 2001. 2019 was a year of controversy and change for high school sports in South Dakota. Replay clearly showed that O'Gorman's game-winning shot against defending champion Yankton in the state semifinals came after the buzzer and should not have counted. With no rule allowing the use of instant replay to review calls, the result stood. Soon after, the SDHSAA adopted rules allowing for limited instant replay use in basketball and football. The gridiron had its own issues in the fall. On their way to a 3rd straight state championship, the Peer Governor's dominance of the 8-team Class 11 AA once again raised criticism of the state's 7 classification system, coming to a head with the Governor's 103-0 victory in the playoffs over winless Spearfish. Within a month, proposals for scaling back the number of classes, along with mercy and running clock rules, would be rolled out. There was still plenty to celebrate, like Burke Volleyball's run to state despite a tornado destroying their home gym and forcing them on the road all season, Viborg Hurley's perfect football campaign 1 year after the death of a teammate, and the way people across South Dakota and beyond rallied in support of Trevor Zulke, the Britton Hecla quarterback who went into a coma after a head injury.
We're praying for you, thinking of you, and encourage you to just be tough and keep pushing.
On May 14th, the Aberdeen Wings won the winner-take-all Robertson Cup Championship to claim their first ever NAHL championship. 3 days later, the Sioux Falls Stampede completed a 3-game sweep of Chicago in the Clark Cup Finals to capture the 3rd USHL championship in franchise history.
But to have 2 cups in the same state, I think that's awesome. I think that's a story in itself.
And the Sioux Falls Storm closed a decade of dominance with their 11th league championship.